Vbeast guys, what's up? Completely different view here. Alright, so there's some videos, that I will release every now and then where it's like, hey, how could you say that? That's you don't know what you're talking about. They go, okay, fine. Let me just go ahead. I'm gonna pop these up on the screen. So I just thought it was a pretty good video. Since people out there are switching from Harley Davidson, or maybe those who you want to get a Harley Davidson, so like I said in other videos, I'm on the forums, I'm on pages, I'm on all kinds of stuff, and so I get to share what others are sharing as well through these groups and pages. So I'm going to pop it up on the screen, and I'll just go ahead and read it as well. Catastrophic engine failure. First off, what is it? It is a 2018 Road Glide Special, right? Sounds like something went loose on the top end, immediately grabbed the clutch, and fortunately the motor did not seize up. I was able to safely coast to the shoulder. Needless to say, I was and still am a bit pissed, right? 2018 Road Glide Special with a stage 4, and yeah, motor install dealership. The dealer installed it years ago, new, and only about 40K on the bike. After getting it towed to the local dealership, they found the rear cylinder had failed and ate the intake valve, blew a hole in the piston, twisted connecting rod, and the head is trashed. Obviously, if you see that picture that's up there, it is indeed trashed, right? Then he goes on to say, anyone else having this kind of failure, HD quoted me 11K to drop in a 131 cubic inch, but that's way more than what I want to spend. I agree. And picking up the bike from AC on Tuesday and bringing it to a local independent shop for a rebuild, looking at a Zippers 124 kit. Okay, yeah, so there's people again in the comments are like, that doesn't happen. You're making this up kind of stuff. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I should start documenting this through my channel. I mean, this shouldn't happen at all. 40,000 miles, and I think what really happened was the valve springs just gave way, and that's it. The valve springs broke, and that's kind of a common issue, which you'll see in some of the other posts. It's not just his post. That's a known thing with the M8 motors. Now, I think it's usually the early motors, but it's Screaming Eagle valve springs that are failing. So, yeah, if you have a Screaming Eagle valve spring kit, you got Screaming Eagle lifters or something like that, yeah, be kind of wary about that. So let's go to the next one. So it's the same thread. Guy asked if it's a 117 stage, and he said no, it's originally a 107. So there you go. So it's a 107. So that means if it's a street, or what do you say, Road Glide? So if it's a special, Road Glide Special, if it's a special and it's a 107, that means it was 2018, 2017, and 2018. Because in 2019, they started doing the 114 on the specials. So that was a 2018 model. People are saying, you should have used a great independent shop in the first place. Anything mechanical can fail. Yes, definitely. Let me see. I'll leave that up there. Maybe you guys read it. But these things, they're not extremely common. But there are little clusters here and there in the motorcycle community where this does happen. Now, I'm saying all this because the last video I did was talking about how Indian motorcycles, that specifically the Thunderstroke 111, is just a fantastic platform. I mean, that engine is bulletproof, relatively speaking, right? 500,000 miles on it. You guys seen the screenshot? 500,000 miles on that bike. And the guy said all he does is change oil, tires, brakes, all the common stuff. All right, so next slide. So the next slide is talking about, it says, I know 3 people, including myself, who had the same issue. All 3 cases were the result of broken valve springs. Luckily, all of us had ESP. If you don't know what that is, extended service plan or warranty. All of us opted to go with the 131 crate motor. My stage 3 build had about 35K on it when it let go. Over 10K on the new motor, no issues. I did, however, upgrade the oil pump and cam plate when the motor was replaced. Now, I don't really think you need to replace the cam plate and the oil pump now, because Harley Davidson has an updated oil pump. It's like an 8-lobe oil pump or something, and it's sufficient. And that plate, I've never seen one of those cam plates fail on the forums or heard anybody otherwise where it's failed. And I watch techs, and they say that cam plate is completely fine now. The new one that they released, I think into the 2020 model, maybe the 2020 model and up, I believe. Or not the cam plate, the oil pump, sorry. But the cam plate, yes, that hasn't failed. That's what I've been hearing from techs and stuff like that. And I think this is the last one. Oh no, there's 2 more. All right, second to the last. Somebody posts, "I feel your pain." And then there's that picture right there. Check out that valve just sitting there in the cylinder. The valve is all bent up. Of course, I don't know how this dude stopped it before he just completely trashed the top of that cylinder. Now, I don't know what the cylinder walls look like. That could just be eaten up like crazy. You know, it could be like a kid going outside not using bug spray into a mosquito-infested Texas swampland. We don't have swamps, but man, it's hot. It's swampy right now. It's like 102 degrees. I'm just sitting here. So yeah. Oh, look at that. Somebody comments, "It's not a race bike." You know, okay, so wait, what? Didn't the guy mention, let's go back. He said he was on the freeway going 80 or something. Oh no. I did cut off a little bit of the post. He said that he was going 80. I couldn't fit all in here. He was going 80 down the freeway, or I think he said interstate, but that's totally fine. Coming over here, I was in Mexico, and I was going like 90 the whole way, and nothing happened here. Yeah, as it shouldn't ever happen. It's ridiculous. Anyways, okay, and then somebody, from that, yeah, this is a pretty good little portion, this top portion right here where that bent valve is. This dude says, "So filtering through these comments, seems that you get about 30 to 40K out of the build if you let Harley put the Screaming Eagle springs in it." And then, yeah, that's ridiculous. But then he says, realistically, that many miles out of anything a dealer put horsepower to isn't bad. Yes, it is. That's terrible. That is a terrible thing you had just said, sir. I'm blanking out all your names, but that's a terrible thing. No, that is not a good thing. No. Nope. Especially when you got, like, I'm going to put Indian and Harley up against each other, right? I like both brands, so I'm not biased. I would ride and own either of them. But if you're taking the Thunderstroke 111, and then Indian came out with the 116 big bore kit for those engines, started slapping those suckers in, they didn't have any problems. They did have problems. What kind of problems did they have? They dropped a valve. You know why they dropped a valve? Because they're valve springs. Yes, they also had valve spring problems. But it was on very few models, and it was because the valve springs were not calibrated for that bigger cam, or cams, because there's 3 cams that they put in there. So those springs were getting wore out and overstressed, and then a couple of them did break. A few did break. What happened? Indian remedied that problem ASAP. They had a few come in. They noticed that, hey, these tolerances are no good. So from the 2019 down, those springs, those valve springs, need to be changed in order to run that 116. So the 2020 and up, they all came with the 116, unless you did, I think, the base model Chieftain. And then those came with the 111. But again, the 111 and the base model, they do not need those valve spring upgrades. So there is a comparison here. You see what happened. So Harley Davidson is having this problem with their valve springs, especially from the Screaming Eagle side. For the most part, is what I'm finding. All right, let's try to wrap this up, because apparently my little go through is getting a little hot in the sun over there. So I forgot which subject, or not subject, that would be false. I forgot what I was really talking about. Broken valve was the last one, so let's just go to the last post that I had here. And it says, I love having ESP. Again, extended service plan, which is a warranty. Brand new 131 going in after my 117 build was having crank balancer issues. Crank balancer issues. Wow. That's actually one of the fewer things that I've seen with the Milwaukee 8s. I was really surprised at that when I read that. So yeah. So that was it. And somebody else says this happened to my 131, had a new SNS 133 put in it. You see that? People are they're spending so much money. So if you're looking into Harley Davidson, I mean, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it's just the more you know. Yeah, so the more you know, it educates you, and it may never happen to you. If you buy a Harley Davidson, it may happen to no one who buys a Harley Davidson, but there is a possibility. There is a possibility of it, and it's good to know about these things. My suggestion for someone that is really wanting to buy a Harley Davidson M8, I would stay away from the early models, 17, 18, if I was 19, okay, but make sure you change out your oil pump and cam plate to Harley Davidson, their newer version, or do an SNS or fueling. I have seen SNS and fueling fail anyway, so that is pretty much up to you. Whatever you want to spend your money on. And I would suggest looking into better valve springs. I know there is some better valve springs out there. I think, what's their name? Racing Star Racing makes some really good light, extremely strong valves. Extremely strong. Totally worth the money. Fueling they have some valve springs, and so do SNS, but I would try the Star Racing. So far those things have some incredible reviews on those. But I remember them being talked about on Moonshine Harley Davidson YouTube page, which they really test these M8 engines and just beast them out, so they really put them through the ringer. And I also, you have to take in consideration, Harley Davidson sells about 100,000 units a year. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. And Indian Motorcycle sells about 30, I think, to 35,000 units a year. So not even half. So you're going to have half the problems that Harley Davidson has, in a sense. Now, the only thing that I've seen, and I did not save the post, I should have. This was I don't know, a couple years ago, is on an Indian Chieftain. I think it was a 111 Thunderstroke. The clutch spring, so it's got a big diaphragm spring, just like this Victory. They're the same company, basically. So that diaphragm spring in the clutch, or the clutch pack, it cracked and it broke. And that person couldn't engage anything, or it was like real slow. It couldn't take off. It was revving up because there was no pressure on that spring giving any pressure to those clutch plates and disc in there. So yeah, so that's the only thing really that I've ever seen on an Indian. So I'm giving you both. I'm giving you guys both, and it depends. I would say if you're still going to go Indian, I didn't really want this to be if you want an Indian or a Harley video, but if you do want an Indian, just remember, less aftermarket, but possibly more longevity and more mileage. As you can see from the post, this kind of stuff is not happening to Indians. So, I mean, am I lying here? No, I'm giving you the stuff. I'm giving you the juice. All right. And if you want more horsepower, and accessories and performance builds and all this stuff to make it yours, you got to go Harley Davidson. And then you just have to deal with the things that may or may not happen. It just depends too, like how you ride. If you're just like redlining it everywhere, you're eventually going to break something. Definitely in a Harley, you're eventually going to break something. I redlined this thing quite a bit, and I've had it for a long time. And so far, no issues. I kind of slowed down. Now I don't really do that too much, but when I first got it, I was just bah, 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 you know. I came from sport bike world and stuff like that, so I was just getting on it, breaking the tire loose and stuff, get the front end up. Well, I've kind of done that a couple times after that, so. Anyways, all right, I'm going to end this. I was trying to get a cool shot, so I'm here in LaPorte, Texas, and I can't really get any shots of it. Maybe I'll just slap you guys on here, and I'm going to ride over there and see if I can get pretty close. But in LaPorte, they had a pipeline that got ran into by a car, and it busted. And that, this fire just shooting way up. It's crazy. But I think this is the second day of, so the flames aren't that big. I've seen the flames. They're just ginormous. But yeah, I'll just put it at the end of the video. Oh, and I totally forgot. I got to throw another picture in there. All right, so I'm going to throw a picture in at the very end of the video. And if you like it, thanks. If you think my photography sucks, thanks anyway for looking and watching. Anyways, see if I can go get some of that shot, and I'll put it in before this. If not, yeah, well, I just ended it. So I'm going to end it here and then not end it. We'll see what happens. We'll see what I do. So ride what you ride. Keep it Vbeast mode. And ride till the wheels fall off.
This has been another random weekday video by your very own Vbeast. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Most of all, have a Vbeast day.